In this video, I'm gonna show you a lot of information about both MIHAWK or Warlord in the game and Sukuna or King of Curses Incarnation in the game, and who's the better character. I'm gonna show you with a lot of different stats, a lot of different comparisons, both with if you have bad stats and if you have good stats, if you have good pets, etc. in dimensions, whatever, and all their strength and weaknesses and how strong the abilities are. Now keep in mind, in general, King of Curses or Sukuna is actually better to get just in general, because it's only 4 days left when I'm recording it, probably 3 days left when I will release the video. So you should actually get King of Curses just now, log in, try to play some raids, get King of Curses, and then get Warlord, because 4 days left, he's not gonna come back for a very long time, if at all. Other than that, who's actually the better character? Let's see. Alright, MIHAWK, or the in-game name Warlord, has 4th abilities, no 5th ability, no awakening, and obviously an assist. First thing I want to mention is the 3rd ability has an effect of it resetting the 1st and 2nd ability, so it's actually better in terms of that. It's not just one move, it also resets the cooldowns from 1st and 2nd ability, and the 4th ability is kind of useful in dimensions because it gives you a speed boost and an attack range buff, but not anything else. Anyway, 1st ability is really strong for a 1st ability. It has a 9 times the damage, and that's stronger than Guts, stronger than any character I've tested so far. It's a really strong 1st ability. It's also really fast, you can move around with it. The cooldown is just 7 seconds, which is actually a bit on the higher end, honestly. It's not the best. And the pet energy gain is 80, which is slightly higher than the 70 average on usual 1st abilities. It's a really good move, it's fast, it doesn't have much end lag, and good damage, pretty good pet energy game, fast, yeah. 2nd ability, the Radiant Stab, is also really strong, but it's not much of a jump from the 1st ability, 11.5 times damage. It is a dash, so it's actually really good. It also gives 120 energy gain, which is more than usual, like the average 2nd ability. But the cooldown is 10 seconds, which is also a bit on the higher end for like the best characters. But it's still really good. Good energy gain, good damage, fast, and a dash move, good for dimensions. 3rd ability, as I mentioned before, resets the 1st and 2nd ability. It has pretty good damage, 15 times the damage, but the big thing about it is that it resets the 1st and 2nd ability, so you can use those once more again. The energy gain is 210, which is actually pretty good, and it has a cooldown on 19 seconds. It's actually really good. The 4th ability is a bit on the lower end. It has 28 times damage, which is actually pretty good, but compared to like Guts Sid, who has 45 times damage, it's not the best. The energy gain is good, 500, and the cooldown is 45, so it's not the biggest cooldown, you can use it quite often. And since MIHAWK's moves are kind of fast and you can reset them often, you won't have any moves to use, so you will have to use the 4th ability quite a lot. That's the problem though, because the 4th ability has such a long duration, so if you use it, you're locked in for like 3 or maybe even 4 seconds. So you can't really do anything else. It does give you iframes, so you can't die while you're doing it, but you can't use any other moves. So that's one problem with him, but otherwise he has really good damage, good pet energy gain, good pet energy gain, I couldn't speak, pretty low cooldowns, and fast moves, so you can actually spam it quite a lot if you have a good pet. And his assist deals 8.5 times the damage, which is, it's okay for an assist actually, it's pretty good. It's more than a lot of assists, but it's not meta at all. Okay, Sukuna, or King of Curses Incarnation, as the in-game name, has 4 moves as well, no 5th ability, and basically the same as MIHAWK. The 3rd ability resets the 1st, 2nd ability, and the 4th ability actually gives you plus speed, which is good in dimensions, and it gives you more critical chance and critical damage for about like 20 seconds, which is really good. That's gonna be like full uptime if you have good CDR, and especially if you have like a Garo pet or Kurumi pet that actually decreases the cooldown. 1st ability Cleave has 7.8 times the damage, which is lower than MIHAWK, but it's actually like a really strong 1st ability anyway. It's stronger than Sid's 1st ability, it's stronger than Guts' 1st ability. It's so good. The cooldown is also 7 seconds, and the energy gain is 70, a bit slower than, or a bit worse than MIHAWK's, but It's a really fast move, good AoE, good damage. It's just slightly worse move than the first ability on Mihawk. The second ability has 8.4 times damage, which is not a lot more than the first ability, and quite much worse than the Mihawk second ability. The energy gain is only 80, but the cooldown is 8, so that's one dub with it. But the second ability isn't that good. It takes a long time to actually start doing the damage, so the energy gain isn't fast and also slow, also very low energy gain for a second ability. So the second ability is not that good, but the third ability actually resets the first and second ability, and it has 15 times the damage. So 15 damage, that's actually really good. It's stronger than Sid's third ability, but it's as strong as Guts' third ability, so for that aspect, it's pretty good. One downside with it, even though it has a 17-second cooldown, which is pretty good, it resets the first and second ability, and has good damage. It gives literally no energy gain. If you look at the energy gain right now, when I spam the third ability, it doesn't give any energy. So far, Sukuna is not that great at gaining energy, so I can see him being pretty bad if you have a good pet. But if you have a bad pet, maybe it's okay. But if you have a good pet like Garo, you want to have good energy gain, therefore Sukuna is not gonna be that good. But for early game players, Sukuna is actually pretty good probably. Okay, the fourth ability, Shadow Domain, is kind of similar to Mihawk's ability, but a bit better. It's the same damage, 28 times the damage. Then it's also 460 energy gain, which is slightly lower than the 500 Mihawk had. It's the same cooldown, 45 seconds, but the effects give you critical chance and critical damage, so that's pretty good. The one downside with it is that the duration is so long. I believe it's a bit longer than Mihawk's even, so it has the same problem as Mihawk, but it gives you that critical chance, critical damage, so this is actually necessary to use. So you need to use this. If you don't use it, you won't get the critical chance or critical damage, so this is something you need to use, but it's pretty bad because of the duration. But it's still a good move, it's better than Mihawk's. So in general, Sukuna has much worse energy gain, slightly lower damage as well, but it does have a special effect of critical chance, critical damage, a bit lower cooldowns, so probably better than Mihawk if you don't have a really good pet or bad stats, because stats actually increase a lot if you get a stat buff. But if you have a good pet, Mihawk is probably gonna take the dub. Unless this is also a bit worse than Mihawk's, 8 times damage instead of 8.5 times damage, so yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. In Boss Rush, Mihawk is actually pretty good. The reason is that, first of all, Mihawk has pretty good damage, as we've already seen. Second of all, he has fast moves, and the third ability resets the moves, so he has moves to just kill the boss fast. Sukuna has slightly less damaging moves, which actually does affect him. But the reason why he's a bit worse than Mihawk in Boss Rush is that his moves are not as quick, especially the second move, and the energy gain shows just that, though the energy gain won't matter that much in fast boss rushes. In Dimensions, Warlord or Mihawk is actually pretty good. The one thing that does hurt him a bit is the AoE. It's not the biggest, and the fourth ability does have good AoE, but it's just too long. Even though it has a speed boost and good AoE, it isn't that useful because the duration is too long. Other than that, he does have a dash move, good damage, he kills the boss fast, he one-shots most enemies, but the AoE isn't very good, but he's still a pretty viable character. A noticeable difference between Mihawk and Sukuna is that even though Mihawk's dash is pretty mid, he does have a dash, unlike Sukuna who does not have a dash. Mihawk also has a speed boost, but you don't really use it, Sukuna too, but Mihawk has a dash. That's the thing. Mihawk also has more damage, but it doesn't really matter if you have high stats, they both kind of one-shot. Though Mihawk has better energy gain, therefore more Garo activations, therefore more damage, and a speed boost that's more consistent. So Mihawk is just better than Sukuna in Dimensions, especially if you have the best stuff. But what happens if you have bad damage, so you don't one-shot, and what happens if you have too much damage than what the dimension you are in currently? So to get bad damage, I just equipped one card, so I unequipped 2 cards, so I did a third of the damage I usually do. I thought Sukuna would actually do a bit better than Warlord now, because well, he doesn't need a dash because you don't one-shot, so you don't need to speedrun the dimension, but it's still kind of the same problem. So, no matter what, MIHAWK is gonna be a better dimension character. Like, even if you don't have a lot of damage, having a dash apparently is really important either way, because you can see how much time I'm wasting just going from place to place without a dash. It's too long. You can't spend that much time. And it doesn't really help Sukuna because low pet energy gain, pretty long duration moves, not less damage than Warlord, though good damage. Just isn't a dimension character really. The AoE isn't making up for it either. Sukuna just isn't the character you should use for dimensions. No dash, not the best, not the fastest moves, and no pet energy gain. I also checked how good they could speedrun a dimension where they will one-shot basically everything, even the bosses. So I went to the Ghoul dimension, I had the best gear, or the same gear, and yeah, MIHAWK just beats Sukuna because of the dash. That's pretty obvious, because in these dimensions where you just one-shot, it's just the character has the best movement. Now, in the highest dimension, when I speedrun, usually I also one-shot, so it's just the highest movement. But here, it's an actual real test on just movement. And in this case, MIHAWK just has better movement than Sukuna. Either way, Sukuna isn't that bad in dimensions, it's just that he's not a dimension character. You definitely have better choices for cheaper and like maybe even gem characters that are better. And MIHAWK could be used as a dimension character. In raids, when using the best gear and everything like that, so in Titan Raid, Levi, and Guts for the damage boosts, having good assist, good cards, good accessory, good pet, good fruit, and everything like that, MIHAWK is pretty good. I have not compared him to other raid characters and other, and like Guts, Sid, characters like that yet. I probably will eventually, but MIHAWK doesn't seem that bad. You can definitely get 100 billion damage with MIHAWK in a full raid, a Stolfa boost and everything like that. So he's not too bad, but he's not the best, definitely not. If you get him, you can probably use him though. Sukuna is very similar to MIHAWK's gameplay. You basically do the same thing. However, MIHAWK does have better energy gain. That's the difference. So if you have a good pet, MIHAWK is going to activate that pet much more often. Well, in general, MIHAWK is going to activate the pet much more often than Sukuna. The thing is, if you have a bad pet, it doesn't really matter. The damage you get from the pet is minuscule. It's like you don't really need to count it. So if you have a good pet, it's really important to use MIHAWK rather than Sukuna because of that energy gain. It's actually a huge difference. And the damage on MIHAWK's moves are slightly more than Sukuna's, but Sukuna has slightly better cooldown, so it kind of makes up for it. The big difference is the energy gain. Now, I was kind of surprised about this, but since the difference is basically just energy gain, Sukuna is actually slightly better than MIHAWK if you have like bad cards, bad stats, and a bad pet, and a bad fruits, etc. Bad stuff. Because, well, the big downside with Sukuna is the pet energy gain. But if you don't have a good pet, you don't really need the pet energy gain. So it doesn't matter if MIHAWK has better pet energy gain. And Sukuna actually has a good fourth ability with that, buffing critical chance and critical damage, and also has slightly better cooldowns. Alright, so summary, try to get Sukuna because 4 days left. That's basically the only reason you should get Sukuna first. Other than that, MIHAWK is better in general, in dimensions, in raids. If you don't have the best stats, Sukuna is slightly better, but I don't think it weighs up for the amount of like damage you can get with MIHAWK in late game and how good he is in other game modes. MIHAWK is better than Sukuna, so if you have both characters, for example, use MIHAWK for most of it. You can try it both. You can try out both, see who's better for you. But in general, MIHAWK is gonna be better, but you should get Sukuna first because you have less time to get him. Honestly, probably just 3 days once you see this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.